throughout the boards and their placement. The regularity of choice draws an interest which is one to explore, like a moth to a flame. As you are witnessing, in this dark space you all stand in, the installation would be void without artificial light. The shadows being cast were originally a staircase, one which sits outside my bedroom door, similar to one you can see to the left of you, about 11 o'clock. A provoked epiphany which led to a practice of work relating back and forth between structures, lines, shadows and staircases. Regimented. That one moment of epiphany one evening has led to today, this present life of practice, an interest in regular lines. They may now be the bane of my life, consciously observing buildings, daily structures and spaces through my subconsciousness, an enhancement to my daily observations, making, meddling, constructing, decisions change, manipulation informs the future. Architecture, as you can see, is peculiar in this space. Look up, you see metal. Look back, you see a sheet of wall. Look left, you see doors. Look right, you see windows, but not windows that benefit a light source. Boarded up, derelict windows. Now look forward. Back to my film and myself. Hello. Stay focused. Don't let the live me distract you from the past me. Observe the film. I'm just sat here to interact and make more decisions. Improvised decisions. Now determined by this recording of what inspires me at this moment in time. Of course I'm sat here writing this in the current past for a future performance, but for me this is the now. You follow? Now follow this. Mark Tinchney uses lights in an interesting way. The unclarity, the space, the surrounding architecture. The light entering and morphing the rooms where his work is displayed. The eye don't see itself got me thinking. What if I show my work in the lantern? A bright space, flooded with natural light. So I tried this and it was not successful. So here we are today in a nice dark space reflecting upon the work appearing in front of us. Okay, observe. You are watching this pre-recorded film with myself alongside it live. This space is live. You are live. The film is not. The objects are. They're active as I move them, yeah? But live, like the film, you decide. These are the same boards as you can see in the film. They still have potential and are currently being used to inform more improvised decisions. You are informing me now too. You are now part of the architecture I see, and hopefully you'll be standing in a regular line like my work. If not, then you may be irritating my process. I am interrupting the light from the projection, I know. However, light interruption is ultimately shadow making. Think of me as a decision-making shadow puppet. But it's not me who is important. It's the boards and how they react to the current projection and lights on the side. The one which is on and then off. I have done this purely to benefit the live and not so live work. It benefits the regular lines I'm creating now, as I can see what shadows they create. I know where I'm going with this. I just like to change the journey to see how these different interruptions influence the final stance. Each final stance remains similar in form, as it is aesthetically pleasing to my eye, and reflects strongly on those structures I mentioned earlier, but they differ. Different distances, different angles, different decisions. Now, back to Flavin, my main man of lights. His fluorescent lights inform shadows and the reflections moulded onto gallery floors become an extension of his work. Just like the light in this room extends sections of the room to be viewed, all in correlation with the work. His regularities appearing throughout his work are greatly satisfying to observe. The structures sit confidently and appear measured and rehearsed. These rehearsals have begun to manipulate their surroundings and have become reliant on the floors being reflective to expand the work out into the audience. A live performance, if you will, just one without him pottering around in front of you. Flavin tends to use fluorescent tubes in his installations, which isn't what I have included in my practice. The light which reflects onto the room expands, just like his work does. The regularity formed by artists who use fluorescent tubes is amazing to myself. A piece specifically which forms a step-like appearance by Bridget Cohen's struck me like a lightning bolt, pardon the light-orientated pun, but the appearance of this work was so fitting to the epiphany which started this whole practice, which has led up to this point. The point of me in front of you, twice over, making decisions to align boards to create an almost flattened staircase. A flattened staircase which creates shadow lines like the same as the epiphany lines, just far more considered and bold, confident. Interactivity was a concept I considered also. Do I want people to interact with the work like they do with Anthony McCall's installations? Currently I am interacting with the light, creating extra shadows and interruptions myself, But I don't want you to do that. These are my decisions based on thought processes running through my mind from influences around me. However, you are here and you are influencing. So maybe you are interacting, not physically interacting and manipulating like, but through my decisions. Maybe the interactions you're imagining would inspire a new way of thought process. But for now, please stay behind the yellow line. There is no yellow line, don't worry. The physical progression you are witnessing in front of you right this second have all been influenced from previous encounters with the space and found objects. What you don't see is right in front of you. Now, in the present, clarity has been determined whilst journeys remain an illusion of informed improvisation or decisions. Journeys which, metaphorically speaking, I have taken to subconsciously and consciously observe structures which include the regularity and line my practice so faithfully focuses on. A faithful focus which also concentrates on the acknowledgement of light and shadow. This singular spotlight to the right of the projection and on the film itself aids in creating the strong shadows formed by boards blocking and interrupting the light. A structure within a structure. The work that has been created and is being created in front of you could be deemed as a reproduction of the visual images and photographed images from those daily encounters of observing buildings and structures. A repetition of comfortable lines and spacings, recreating the forms displayed by shadows themselves. Try this, try that, try this again, that worked better. Stick with that for this. Curatorial decisions are being made right before your eyes. Twice over, the film reflects on previous constructions of this installation, whilst the live decisions are reflected more prominently from the film being projected onto the wall. The boards are being placed on. Am I trying to reenact this? No? Yeah? I am progressing the boards in a different routine, a routine I've done before? Maybe. Trial and error is a learning curve which has many pathways, and there is no way the boards have explored them all. This is why there is a film projected. The potential of the boards is far greater than could have been imagined when I came across them. Their destinations vaguely laid out for them, but their pathways are not. Pathways, like life, may differ, but will lead you to the same destination. Object, architecture, light, response. A conversation built up of these factors occurs with every installation that takes place, an ongoing formalistic visual response. Every response is important and key to building and transforming the next installation. The found objects integrate, converse and manipulate the architectural aesthetics within the space, creating lapses and extensions of distortion. The found objects are just objects without the light casting and illumination onto the space. This is what activates them and gives them a presence in the space, the physical element facing towards the work, considering and creating improvisational responses. The light stood proudly switching on and off is the light source which allows the shadows to be put in place, guarded by the boards. The work is visually focused around these found objects, a collection of matching found boards which have a limited number. Decisions can only venture as far as the boards will, due to discovering that unmatching boards decreases the importance of formalistic responses made by the work. This matching set articulates formalistic structures which have been observed throughout the time span of this practice, structures which are formalistic, minimal and regular. If I start messing with manipulating that, well, it would upset the fabrication of formalities I've grown to appreciate. Speaking of upsetting the fabrication of something, we are currently stood in a lecture theatre, a space set aside for guest speakers, PowerPoint, and the most obvious one of them all, lectures. As I am not stood at the plinth, flicking through a PowerPoint, then am I lecturing you? I am informing you as to where my work has arose from and which certain artists have influenced mindful epiphanies throughout the process, but am I lecturing? Am I truly informing you? Are you listening or quite contently visually appreciating the movement going on in front of you? The movement including myself, a performance leading to a conclusion starring me. Rita McBride always includes herself in her sculptural stories, so maybe it's an artist's vanity in which we admire and get inspiration from yourself that makes us want to be involved in her work. Or maybe it's the fact we are the only individuals in our mind, so ultimately we're the only ones who can do it right. You know, if you want the job doing right, do it yourself.